All right, we've had a pretty interesting project we're working on and almost finished up. I want to try to share with you guys. So we've got an old stucco finish garage. This has been around for a long time. Could use a little more TLC now. But the entry was previously from the other side. There's a driveway on the other side of that house. And that was the original driveway in between those two homes. It's not currently used. And so in between, we've got an alley here. There's been access to the garage by pulling through, kind of through that back part of the yard there where the fence wasn't previously, and then pulling in on the other side of this garage. But that really uses up a lot of the yard as a driveway. And so we wanted to close off and we put this fence up, and that meant we needed to be able to access the garage from the other side. So quite a bit of work ensued. We're going to go in and take a look at it. We've still got more work to do on this, but with this old stucco, there are quite a few challenges trying to build this garage space or the garage door here in this space. I'm going to go in first and look from the other side. All right, so you can kind of see the old garage and the new wood here. And you might say overkill, but kind of building it out to the right size. Our very first step was to back up here, provide supports along the top up there. So this again used to be a wall all the way across, and then we provided some supports, just 4x4s, and then tied together up at the top across here to take that weight of the roof and everything that was up there kind of in place and support it while taking out and creating the hole for the door. This exterior, I mentioned this is a stucco exterior. It's an old stucco exterior, so kind of original with just the stronger, thicker stucco material. Just concrete exterior here. You can see kind of the original here, and then some of what's been redone over top. So we cut out the hole, basically just using a grinder to cut through this, and then took out studs and reframed around that space. Now afterwards we had to touch up along here, so we've got like a metal lathe underneath and then re-stuccoed across. It's not an exact match, but this is an old garage. It doesn't have to be perfect for us. We just want to make sure this is going to be functional. We had a couple things going on. I'll talk about the floor here in a second. So anyway, got this all basically framed out and then re-stucco finished on the outside. All of this will have to be sealed and painted here in the next month or so. But one of the big issues was the drop here. So there's about a 16-inch drop from the original floor height down to the alley over here. So what we're ending up doing is taking out about 6 feet of the concrete. That was about a 6-foot slab that was kind of broken up. You can see a little bit of how they did the original, kind of with those breaks. So we took one full chunk over here, another chunk, and then just did a cut line down the side to take that out. We had to do a little bit of grinding on those edges as well to kind of clean them up. And then we're dropping this down. Basically, it's about 8 inches over a 6-foot section. We've got another foot on the end. So I think overall it's going to be about 9 inches of drop over a 7-foot section. A little bit more than 1 inch drop per foot. It's basically splitting the difference, maybe even taking a little bit more of the total drop that we have going out to the alley. And you can kind of see now, a little bit of this is built up with rock. You see the water here. We're doing a wet tamp to tamp back down all this. It's kind of been brushed up. But we've got the outer form in place here and connected down in. I ended up using a laser level, kind of measuring across from the side to make sure that we'd be level all the way across, and just ensure that when we do the final pour here before too long, that we're going to have a level edge going kind of from the start to the back. We've got some wire in here as well. Like I said, pouring water out for our wet tamp to make sure everything is good and settled as we get ready for this pour. So I think there's a lot that kind of went into this. We'll see how this goes. It's very unusual, I think, to have to then also cut down the floor and make this ramped area so that we can get our vehicles in and out. We're going to have to redo the railing and a little bit of the finish here so that we can get the door to come all the way down. And you can see we're not, we haven't finished out up here we'll drop this down a little bit. When we finish, we'll drop the ceiling down a little bit to make sure that we maintain that the top of the door will meet up just right. So I think I'm gonna have to do a part 2 on this. I'm sure there'll be quite a few questions, but I wanted to give some video for progress in the midst of the work. It has been quite a bit of work, but if we have access to the garage from the back, from the alley, this just gives us a lot better usability of our yard and the space again. So anyway, we'll go back through, look at this once it's fully completed. I'll try to pull back a little more, but this then gives us kind of that 2-car garage space that we can pull into without pulling all the way through our yard. And we should be able to have access even with the low clearance vehicles. And we'll go from there. All right, stay tuned for part 2. I wanted to provide a couple more pictures of our progress in the earlier parts of the project. Here you can see the inside of the garage before we cut the hole for the garage door. The plywood you see up there was just covering a window that had already been taken out. Here we've got the posts up, the 4x4s that I mentioned, taking that weight of the roof. There's some cross bracing that you'll see at the very top and the diagonals further down, just supporting that weight while we put the new structure in and the header across. So one picture from the outside, and then I think we'll shift over to see some of the stucco repair work that was done at the same time. So we were breaking out a lot for that door and then determined that we wanted to repair some of the other damage to the stucco at the same time. Here you can see after the header's been put in, we're also doing the stucco across the top. If I was going to do it again, I would likely do it differently and just do a different material that would be lighter, a little less weight to support up there. You can kind of see as the finished product, or finished in terms of the stucco, it is dried and the door is up, but we have a very high ramp up to that door with kind of the existing level of the concrete slab. So we determined around that time that it was going to be too much. It was about 16-inch drop to the alley level over just a few feet. And determined we need to cut back into the garage. And so that'll be the next video that we'll talk about some of the work that was done there. And I wanted to leave you guys with a picture of basically the finished product in terms of the walls. We'll still do some other work on the windows, the roof, and fascia and everything needs to be addressed. But we do now have access. The pour went very well and that garage space is now accessible. So it's going really well for us. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions. Let me know what questions you have, any comments, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks again.